Welcome back, everybody, to the weekend show where I'll be breaking down the big mega cap stocks. So, before we get started, please hit that like button, and that is greatly appreciated. And if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. Now, if you want to go above and beyond and support the channel and get daily trade ideas, swing trade ideas, live trading, and all kinds of long term and short term setups, definitely check out my link down in the description for Patreon. And now let's get right into the market. All right, so welcome back. Once again, we do have CPI coming out this Tuesday, and that's going to be interesting to see what those numbers are. And then we have also PPI coming out Wednesday morning, and that's coming out 8:30 a.m. before opening on Tuesday and also on Wednesday. You can see the market sentiment now is extremely bullish. We're at 42.5. Only about 30% people are bearish on the market, and about 28% are neutral for this market. So we'll see how that plays out going into next week. Also, what we got on Friday, Dow going up, almost hitting all-time high, up 0.48%. Nasdaq up 0.81%, S&P closing at a brand new all-time high, up 0.65%, and Russell also up at a brand new all-time high, 0.76%. Advancing, you can see about 50-50 here, 48.4 and 47.8. 11 sectors that makes up S&P 500. Basic materials led the way on top. Industrials, consumer defensive, utilities, technology. Laggard out there was financial and healthcare. Stock market map. What do we got here? You can see Tesla up over 2%, Google up almost 1%, Meta up. We got Broadcom going up 3.76%, but Nvidia not moving, absolutely flat. Intel up 3%, AMU up 5.53%, Oracle up 4.68%, and Microsoft, another big name, also was flat, so is Apple. On Apple stock, it's up 0.13%, so basically a flat day. And you can see just retracing and closing the gap near 260 and holding 259, this previous rejection as a support into closing. And we do have another gap down here. So what is happening? And I know a lot of people will say, well, we don't need the Mag 7. A market can just go and hit all-time high, which is absolutely right. But can the market actually hold up without Mag 7? I don't think that's the case. And that's why I see as a red flag when big names are not moving. Look at Apple as S&P makes all-time highs. Apple is nowhere near all-time highs. And forget about Apple. Just have a look at Microsoft. You think the market is actually really strong that these names are actually, I mean, just coming down as S&P making brand new all-time high, and not to mention, small caps or even Dow going and making all-time highs. So, you know, I know, market can actually make all-time highs without these, but you want to see the big names rallying also with everything else. And it's just not the case. And every time that happens, usually it's a fake breakout. Now, I don't have a confirmation yet, but we'll see how that goes going into this week and the following week. If the market can hold up those gains and press even higher, then I would say, I have to change my tone that yes, the market can run without these big names. As of right now, the big names are an opportunity, and you can see Apple. It just because of earnings, I'm not doing much with Apple. Otherwise, this is fantastic opportunity to buy the dip, and you can see Apple from the top. If you look at it, bottom of this candle down about 11.5%. So, really nice dip. Now, I think if Apple moves down here at 253, which I think that's going to happen at some point to close this gap, maybe even come down here around 241, that would be fantastic. And that's where I'm not buying options, but I'll be buying some shares of Apple. Now, to the upside, if we can remain over 259, we could see a move up to this 5-day moving average, 261.67. If we can get over that, you're going to see a move up to 265 on Apple this week. Now, if this thing moves down again come tomorrow, then definitely under 259. The next big support would be at 253.38 and then 250 itself right here on Apple. On Microsoft, it's up 0.24%. So Microsoft was a fantastic trade. Unfortunately, this thing I got in at 474 on Friday. It was a day trade, and quite a few people that actually within the Patreon group they actually held on, and I put a stop at break even. This thing actually came back up. I got stopped out, but then later on the 480 485 calls, whatever they got, they actually went in the money pretty much. You can see it was a nice bounce from these lows. 472 was the low, and as soon as I saw Microsoft going back up to 476, I put a stop. This thing you can see on 15-minute or even 5-minute came back again, consolidating and then going back up to almost 480. So Microsoft, again, you can see it's not really happening, guys. We saw a lot of back and forth chop, and I think the only thing that's going to move this stock, we got earnings coming up on January 28th, right after closing. And that is going to move this stock. Whether we see a big push to the upside back up to all-time highs, which could be the case. Usually they beat, on earnings, but anything that is bad coming out of Microsoft, it's not going to be a good one for all these, AI names and everything else that is going really absolutely crazy in the market. This is a big name. This is a big stock that's going to have an effect in the stock market. So going into tomorrow's session, watch out if this thing actually gets over this 480 range, we could see a move towards this highs right here around I would say 490 to 493. And only if we can get a break over these levels, these highs, we could see a move up to 500. Until then, the key support down here at 473, underneath that 471, lower Bollinger Band all the way down to 462. On AMD, it's down 0.74%. So AMD definitely not having a good time out there like AMU and SNDK. Look at this move here. We had a complete failure of the breakout here and then pushed back all the way down to bottom of this wedge. And this is the support 202 to 199 key zone to hold lower band. If that gives up this week, I think before earnings, this thing will likely to come down and close the gap right here. Now, to the upside, if this thing goes back up this week, there will be resistance at 212. If we can cross that, watch out for the resistance right about 216. And then we can talk about 226, but that's not even in the picture right now on AMD. On Meta, it's up 1%. So Meta came all the way down to the lower band right here. We went slightly lower than 638, now coming back up, but it needs to get over the 20-day, which is at 657-ish. So if this thing gets over 657, we could see a move back up to 664, possibly into 671, and then 682. But Meta gives up these levels, especially the 50-day at 643, and then this lower support at 638. We could be coming all the way back down to 616 to close this gap down here. On Amazon stock, it's up 0.44%, and this was the dip on Friday. You can see came down to 242 pretty much exactly, and then went back up. I mean, this is a decent move from 242 to almost 248. Now, Amazon, like I said, I do have this price target up here if we can get over that, but so far it's getting a bit frothy, guys. This thing is running for almost a week. Last week, entire week was green. And now this is the only pullback we got Friday, 242. If this thing remains over 242, this is the upside target, 250. Only if we can get over that, we could see a retest of all-time highs. Now, if this thing comes back and does not hold 242, we could be coming all the way back down to 236, 233, and then 232 to this 20-day moving average. On Tesla stock, it's up over 2%. So Tesla coming all the way down to almost touching the lower band, going back up over 432, and looks like it's trading just slightly above the 50-day moving average, 444.26. If we can remain over that, we could see a move back up to the 20-day and the resistance here at 464.75, and maybe even close the gap at 474. To the downside, if this is just a dead cat bounce, we do have earnings, and I don't know what Elon is going to say on that earnings call, but definitely not gonna have good earnings, guys. Definitely not. You got BYD beating the heck out of Tesla right now. a number one EV seller in cars, and the product is way, way better. As a matter of fact, I have seen BYD in person, which is a really nice, great car compared to the build quality of Tesla, and especially that the trash can Cybertruck. So Tesla, unless a bunch of lies are out there, definitely not gonna have a good earnings. And this is nothing against Tesla. I just don't see Tesla putting out a really a good show when it comes to earnings and with the numbers, unless it's just fake numbers pumping up for massive gains on the stock. Watch out that 444 holds up, then more upside up to this, 464.75. That does not hold. We would come back down to 439, 432, and then 421 to the lower Bollinger Band. On Nvidia stock, it's absolutely flat on that day and barely holding on to that critical support where we got rejection so many times 184, 184, 184. And now that's actually acting as a support. So you can see it's pretty much wedging right here. If this thing gets a breakout over, I would say 187, we could see quickly 190 into 195 and possibly even higher. But if that does not happen and that does not take place in next few sessions, and 184 breaks quickly, things are going to look really ugly for Nvidia. You'll see it drop down to the gap, 181.45. That gives up more downside down to 176. On Google, it's like it's up almost 1% on Friday and another brand new all time high. You can see 331.48. And look at the market cap, guys. I mean, that's just insane catching up to all the other big ones. Almost $4 trillion market cap, which is huge for Google. Now, can this rally continue? Well, you can see this could be one or two things, a double top here or a breakout over previous all time high, which we did on Friday, and there will be new all-time highs, and I have a price target on top 342. So if Google remains over 328 to 329, we could see that push. But for that push to happen, we got earnings coming up. We got this Bollinger Band sitting stuck at 327. This has to expand towards 342, and then you're going to see that nice push to the upside. Now, if this is actually some sort of a fake out to the upside, then you're going to see a drop, and where we need to hold definitely around this 323 to 322. Below that, you're going to see a drop all the way down to 314. And if that gives up, this is going to be a complete failure from the bulls to push this thing higher. And you're going to see much, much more downside. And especially with earnings, they can definitely come down if this thing actually breaks down and we do not get that breakout confirmation this week over 328, 329 on Google. Oh, Netflix, another down day, 1.18%, another new 52-week low, and you can see it's heading towards that 85 to 86 zone where we held before so many times and found bottom. But I don't know in this case, I think the earnings can only save this stock, and we could see that move back up to the upside. Now, if somehow before earnings we see a lot of volume coming in and maybe we get a move over 91.7, in that case we could see some upside, but I'm not even going to talk about it, especially for upside here on Netflix until we see that confirmation, guys. So downside target is still right about here, but again, if you're looking for long-term investment, I think it's getting even cheaper and cheaper, and it really, to the eyes of people who are looking to go long-term, but there is, not much out there. I think this is a fantastic opportunity on Netflix. On Broadcom, it was up 3.76%. So big day here on Broadcom on Friday. And you can see, I mean, just when you think this was a bear flag, it looks like a channel, or some would say possibly a bull flag. And yes, these big names can do anything. Just like Nvidia, you're seeing, a lot of pressure to the downside. Who knows, come Monday, there could be a nice catalyst or some news or some upgrade, and you see Nvidia going up $7, $8, and that's it. It's gone, right? Same thing with big name like Broadcom here. You can see just, in this channel. I would not call this a clear bull flag here. It just trading, in this channel here. And so far, we're not getting that breakout. And the breakout will happen, I would say, over 348 in this case. If that breaks, we could see a quick push easily up to 356.7. And from there, this thing will be off to the races. Now to the downside, if this thing comes back like it did so many times, you can see push, come back. If this thing comes back and breaks under 330, which was at 330 on Thursday's session, then definitely heading down to 324. And below that, this gap definitely comes into play. So be careful. I mean, it looks good sometimes when you see big pops like this one that we saw on Friday. But sometimes these could be just a fake out where a lot of people would just jump in and then you see a push to the downside. And these things are not really cheap. When it comes to option on Broadcom, these options are not cheap, and even the stock itself trading at almost $350 per share, definitely not cheap. And if you're going and buying something, you want to buy lower, you want to buy cheap, and you want to sell when it goes up. But how much upside do you have here buying here? And at least I would say if it fills the gap right about near 300, that would be at least you're gonna get $40 per share cheaper than buying here near 345. And that's all I have for you guys in this video. Definitely let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, and I'll keep you guys updated.